Now we can move on to Cadillac, which is obviously a blank sheet, Scott. So this is a challenging one for you to fill. They are in a very odd position, aren't they, in terms of how they play the driver market, whether they're going to go outside F1, pick up what's available inside F1. So what do you see happening here?
I'm still convinced they'll have an American driver because I think that was a big thing that when it was a Michael Andretti project, that was something that was desired. And I wonder if it's still going to be something that GM and Cadillac desire. Dan Tauris, who is the effective sort of leader of this overall project, not the F1 team itself, that's Graham Loudon, who is team principal. But Tauris is known to be a backer of Colton Herta, who in the Michael Andretti era was the all but guaranteed a seat, basically, as long as he has a super license. So I can't shake the feeling that one of the seats will go to Herta if they're available. And then it comes down to whether they are willing to go with two rookies or they want someone experienced. My head says Valtteri Bottas and Colton Herta would be a very sensible driver lineup. But I've had a thought over it's been bubbling away now for a few weeks. They've got a Ferrari engine deal, customer engine deal for the next few years. And slightly unexpectedly, the Ferrari junior Dino Beganovic has now suddenly popped onto Ferrari's radar more from an F1 perspective. I like Dino. I've spoken to him for a few years now and the people around him. He's always looked good rather than great, I would say. And I think he was sort of trending nowhere in Formula 3 because that was kind of going all right. He was with Prema. He won races, but title challenge never really materialised. And he had a really nasty 24 season that just kind of everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong. He then compounded that with a nightmare in Macau where everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong when he was one of the favourites to win that at the end of the year. But he saved himself both in terms of like narrative around him and maybe also like a little bit with the Ferrari reputation with a really, really strong cameo at the end of the year in F2, which included a podium finish and I think a top 10 finish in all 4 starts that he did. My understanding is he's done some simulator work, quite a lot of simulator work with Ferrari already this year. We know that he tested at the very end of the test that Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc did in the 23 car at Barcelona. And I think he's in line to do more tests with Ferrari this year and some Friday practice outings. He's almost, not by default, but he is the most senior Ferrari, like serious Ferrari protege now. He's almost ended up just about doing enough to get himself into being first in line for the next major Ferrari opportunities. He's not like an Ollie Behrman level driver or a Charles Leclerc level driver, but he's now coming really close to being in that position. If he nails his F1 auditions with Ferrari this year, we know that Ferrari loves putting in a young driver at a customer team, doesn't it? So I wouldn't rule out Beganovic in a Ferrari-powered Cadillac if all the stars align.
But it's not going to be Beganovic alongside, say, a Herta, because I don't think they're going to go all rookie. I can't see that one happening. There's obviously candidates. You mentioned Bottas. Sergio Perez is still floating around, so he's somebody you'd also have a look at as well. John, what do you reckon? Any other names you want to throw into that particular hat?
Yeah, I just wonder if this... they do the sensible thing, and the sensible thing in your first year of Formula One, knowing the challenge of new regulations and getting up to speed, isn't to put a rookie in. I think the rookie element you need to look for, second year, third year, or something. But I think to tick off the American driver box, you could potentially bring a Herta in as a third driver, does practice sessions and lots of testing and promo with you to building him up for a following season. I think Bottas is an obvious one. He's eager to get back. He's proved to be quick. I think there's a lot of untapped potential still there, despite the struggles he had at Sauber. And if you were after a experienced second driver who perhaps had a bit of commercial impact, good impact in kind of the Americas, Perez makes sense. I know he was tainted by Red Bull, a lot of doubt, but he's an experienced driver. If the car suits him, he can still do it. And I think if you're a team that's looking to build up and get better, there's nothing better having two super experienced drivers coming in, even if they're not, A star going to be up there fighting with Max Verstappen, but that car's not going to be fighting up there with Max Verstappen. So as a starting block, they're the most logical, sensible two to slot in from that experience perspective. But I like Scott's idea of Dino because I think that'd be quite exciting.
The one thing I would say just on putting in an American rookie, because I think you're looking at a Herta or maybe like Carl Kirkwood, for example, as the main contenders there, would be that it's a brand new set of regulations, so everybody's going to be learning new cars, and because it's such a big change, there's actually at least like a reasonable amount of testing for across January and February for next year going into the new season. So that doesn't take away from the fact that they would be rookies, and you would still have the obvious benefit of having two experienced drivers. But I would rather put a rookie in for 26 than I would for a season like 25 when you've got 3 days that you need to share, but like in Bahrain or something like that. Bottas, like a Bottas Perez partnership, would basically be their version of trying to do something like Haas did when they came in, wouldn't it? And I've long since said that Bottas is effectively the perfect Andretti or Cadillac or whatever it would be called version of Romain Grosjean. So for me, it's Bottas. I would almost be pretty convinced that Bottas would take one of the seats because I think it's a no-brainer. But that's not based on, that seems to be what they're aiming for. That's just because that just seems logical.
I feel that if they want to go an American driver, they will go Herta. And if you want to go Herta, you've got to do it straight away. He turns 25 later this year in March, doesn't he? So it'd be 26 pretty much just after next year's season starts. So I think if you're going to go for him, you've got to commit, obviously assuming the super license situation is set. So I feel like Herta's more likely there. So what do we want to come down on? There's Bottas or Perez. I think it'll be one of those two. So I think, John, you're a bit more in favour of Perez.
We're all agreed on Bottas, aren't we? We're all agreed on Bottas.
Oh, we're all agreed on Bottas. Okay, we'll definitely. So we'll go Bottas and the second driver then. It's a question of is it Herta or is it somebody else? Yeah, I mean, I think if they go American, they have to go Herta straight away. John, you've argued for maybe deferring that. So where should we settle for the second seat?
I think Herta's probably more likely just because it's harder to justify an American team, American backing, without committing to an American driver. So you can put Herta down, but even though I think it makes logical sense to get too experienced to do what Haas did, get that experience in to build the foundations.
Yeah, I can certainly see the argument for that. But yeah, so okay, we'll go Herta and Bottas for Cadillac. We should throw in. There's a few other names around. Someone like Zhou Guanyu, obviously, who's the team principal of Cadillac. Graham Loudon has been involved with his manager. Is his manager. So there's a possibility there, and there has been talk about Zhou linking up with Ferrari as well, so that's also something that could, with the Ferrari customer engine, come to pass. But also they might have to hang fire a little bit and see what happens, because you never know if something does happen in the driver market unexpected. You never know what drivers might turn up and become available.